Here's the big news. So we've got not only the debates are confirmed. There's so much nuance in this debate story. So Joe Biden comes out this morning saying, I'll debate you, Donald Trump. It was a 14-second long video. It had 5 jump cuts. The man could not express himself in he could not just say 2 sentences without needing a ton of edits. It's kind of sad. I have no idea how this man's going to debate. But Trump, of course, truthed out that he will be accepting. And then we heard that there are a whole bunch of caveats. First, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash will be the moderators. It's going to take place June 27th in Atlanta, Georgia. I imagine it'll be a lot of fun. But here's where it gets weird. Fox News says, here are all the restrictions Biden's team demanded in their Trump debate offer. President Biden's team does not want former President Trump to be able to interrupt the president. All right. So no audience, no RFK Jr. or any other third-party candidates. What else? Limited news outlets. Wow, this is crazy. Candidate mics must mute after time expires. And I think that's it for the most part. But no audience. That one's big. And I think the reason for that is kind of obvious. I think everyone would boo Biden. I mean, is that the issue? And
Trump thrives off the audience. I mean, he's very performative. And so being able to read the room is when he's the best. Remember that town hall that he did? And he just totally made a fool of the moderator, partially because he didn't talk to her. He talked to the audience.
Right.
It's not something that Biden can really do.
I think also having a lot of people there is distracting for Biden. He's very, he's an old, frail, feeble man, and so I think that the more they can tone this down, the better. I actually think the cutting the mics after time expires is the bigger deal there. I mean, that's absurd. It's already absurd in these debates that, like, to even call it a debate when the moderator says, okay. What's happening in the Middle East? What's your take on that? 1 minute, go. You have 60 seconds to lay out your opinion on this. That's already ridiculous. But if they actually cut the mic at that point, and both of these guys,
and who's cutting it, right? Right. Is it the moderator who hits the button, or is it a sound guy in the back?
And also, neither one of these guys are known for being succinct to begin with, so they're not going to be able to get even one thought out before they cut the mic.
To be fair, Trump might get one thought out, but have 50 he wants to get in the 60 seconds. Biden will mutter gibberish, and we won't know if they're thoughts at all, but he'll say something.
I had a professor when I went to SMU, his name's Ben Voth, and he did this study. He would time all of the presidential debates, and he would see, his big takeaway was that Democratic candidates they speak for longer, they're interrupted less often by the moderator, they generally have the advantage, except Republicans speak more quickly. They say more words per minute. And I think this is interesting because, one of the things that Trump basically could do when he was debating Hillary was like muscle his way through and be like, I'm just going to keep talking. Like, it is very difficult for a moderator to keep him in check. The only way you could really keep him from getting his side comments, you'd be in jail, is by cutting his mic.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a debate where the only thing the moderator does is just say, well, here's the topic.
Ready, set, go.
Go. And just have them talk about it with each other like normal people.
Well, the time limits on these debates used to be much longer, am I wrong? In decades past, people just had longer attention spans. And they would just go for like 10 minutes on one topic. And people would really pay attention and care. And this is just for the memes, at least for me.
Yeah, now it's like the soundbite generation. And we're getting more and more into you have 1 minute. And then once your minute's up, they cut your mic. I mean, I agree. That's ridiculous. Usually what you see is the time expires and you get a little bit of leeway to finish your thought before they say, okay, we're moving on. But they usually just say, okay, we're moving on. It's going to be boring.
It's also fewer than years past. Typically there are 3 presidential debates and Biden only offered 2. I mean, this is him hoping that Trump won't be able to make it. He is kind of admitting that he is too fatigued to get through the traditional 3. I think Trump would have been like, okay, let's do 3 debates if you'd given him the option.
Yeah, I think the debate so clearly favors Trump that it shows you that the Biden team is desperate and they know they're in a lot of trouble and they need to pull something out of their hat. And the interesting question is strategically for Trump, like there's 2 ways you could go about this. One is, okay, Trump, just go in there and be as normal as possible, and just be normal, and don't make the debate about you at all, because that was a mistake he made in 2020. But there's another approach, given the fact that Biden is half dead, which is try to fluster him, actually go after him hard and try to fluster him. I think Trump tried that in 2020, didn't really work. Maybe this time around, I don't know, it might be more successful.
Do you really think it was a mistake to make it about himself instead of the ideas? Because I think that is actually what got people to vote for him in 2016.
Well, 2016 is one thing, but 2020, I think it's generally accepted. Generally accepted things aren't always true, but in this case, I think it is true that the debates did not serve Trump well in 2020 because he just came off a little bit too. The story became, oh, look, Trump is being belligerent. But I think this was the strategy. I think the strategy was like, let's fluster this guy. Let's fluster Biden.
I think he should. I think the strategy for Trump should be to say things about Biden, and this is probably typical debate strategy, but say things that are hyperbolic exaggerations of things that Biden did, forcing him to like target his dignity in a way that flusters him and makes him desperate to defend himself, which would then make Biden talk more about himself instead of plans for the future. I think one of the things that Trump was dealing with in 2020, because I agree, Matt, is that he was like the way the media was going after him, the way he had been weighted down for his entire term with Russiagate, all of these attacks on his person, false accusations, media smears, and lies. Instead of hearing about what his plans for the future were going to be, it was very personal. If Trump can direct that energy at Biden in the same way, then people are going to be like, this guy's got no plan. He's muttering gibberish. If Trump can get Joe Biden in a position where he needs time to explain himself, we will get a true and unashamed pressure out of him. And if Biden true and unashamed pressures during the debate, he's done.
How did you practice that?
I tried.
I'm impressed.
It's true and unashamed pressure. I listened to that thing probably 100 times to try and translate it.
Okay, now spell it.
That's a merch idea.
I tweeted it once, but there's no way I'm spelling true internet Shabbat pressure. I have no idea.
I think the interesting thing, because I don't think these debates are effective. I don't think people really learn anything during them other than just seeing the personalities clash. But it would be interesting for the soundbite generation to see how many times Biden can misquote his own records. How many times he can say, Lincoln Riley instead of Laken Riley. It's this sort of thesis dissertation on his 4 years in office, and he is not in a strong position verbally or mentally to be able to defend himself. So
yeah, and right now Biden only has two gears, and one of them is, of course, right. Well, right, mumbling incoherently is one gear. The only gear he has where he's sort of on and he's making sense is what we saw in the State of the Union, which is when he's angry and he's shouting. Like he can still be angry and shouting, and which will make the debate more interesting because obviously they don't want the gear of him mumbling. So they're going to have to. They're going to tell him like we need the shouting angry Biden because it's the only version of Biden that makes a little bit of sense.
Circus animal.
Well,
that's very sad.
The furl.
He is.
I was mentioning this earlier on one of my morning segments. I just watched The Equalizer and The Equalizer 2. You guys ever see that movie? Mm-hmm. Denzel Washington, and he's like a retired agent, they call him, and he's basically just a badass who kills bad guys. But the way he acts in the film as a badass is stone-faced, right? Denzel Washington nails a performance where he's just like, he talks like this, and you know that he's going to win and defeat the bad guys. Joe Biden has this fake persona with a furrowed brow where he's trying to look like he's fired up, but he's really tired. Yeah. And so it looks more like a confused old man yells at child on lawn.
That's what evokes this pity in me, and I'm also disgusted at the same time. It's confusing.
I think him belligerently yelling though, Trump could handle that easily. Like an angry Biden, if Trump can keep his if Trump cannot engage in the fight, just be like, it's okay, Joe, just calm down. You did a bad job. Like it would be hilarious to watch him handle it.
Trump should demand a drug test, but only for uppers. It's like, I don't care if you're taking anything that chills you out, but no uppers. Caffeine included.
I think they should both just be zinned out of their minds.
Zinned. The one thing I do agree with, though, is no RFK. And I know it's going to piss off a lot of the RFK people. I personally would like to see a third-party candidate, an independent, the libertarian candidate. The thing about RFK specifically is that if you want to argue the polling threshold doesn't make sense because it creates a gate, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Someone without access to the public stage is not going to get the notoriety required for a poll. Fine, I understand. Maybe no polling requirement. Maybe just be on the ballot for every state. RFK is not on the ballot in every state, and I think the issue is I could be wrong.
How many states is he on?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have enough to even win the presidency. It's like, so of the states that he's on,
I think I know he just got texted the other day. I'll double check.
It's very few, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So if the argument is, look, RFK Jr., we get it. You're polling at 10% in aggregate. But even if you win this debate, you are not even on the ballot in the majority of states. the likelihood of you winning is ridiculously low.
He's on in 4 states, California, Utah, Michigan, and Hawaii. And then he has 5 other states where he has, or 6 other states where he's met the threshold for signature, but we don't know for sure if it's on the
Wow,
ballot.
that's
so
fewer than I thought.
Right, yeah, seriously, I thought it was going to be like 10.
Oh, and he's on in Texas too. This map is
I thought it
not
was going to
updated.
be like 10. It's 4?
It's 5 with Texas.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
it's 5.
I would have been more upset about this, several months ago, but I think recently RFK, he's not going to win, as you point out. And he's also he's made it clear that he's not much of an alternative anyway. He's kind of just Democrat lights, and some of the stuff he said recently about abortion and the gender stuff. It's like, he's basically just Biden, but he's actually able to speak.
Matt, that is unfair. His stance on abortion is the most extreme stance I think we've seen from any candidate ever.
That's true.
Yeah. So I actually agree with you on the Biden thing. He is basically a Democrat, but that video, my jaw hit the floor. I am not this staunch pro-life guy, but he said there should be 0 regulation in any sense. And the interviewer asked him, "You're saying keep the federal government out of it, leave it to the states?" He goes, "No, the states nor the federal government, no governments can be involved at all." It's like unrestrained, unfettered, unrestricted in every single capacity.
But
That's
Tim,
the most extreme.
you have to trust women. That's his
crazy.
explanation.
He did backtrack on this.
Did he back? Well, because he said full term. He was asked, okay, so abort babies full term, and he said yes, full term.
Yes.
Did he backtrack on that?
Yes.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.